Hey, this is Jill Ciminillo, and this week I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona, and my car du jour is the Hyundai Ioniq 6. This is an all-new electric vehicle from Hyundai, and what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to do a quick walk around. I'm going to show you a little bit of the design themes they've got going on. We're going to talk a lot about pixelation, but I'm going to tell you some of the good things on this vehicle. I'm going to tell you some of the things I don't like on this vehicle. Then I'm going to do some brief driving impressions, and yeah, then we're going to wrap it up. So let's take a closer look at the Hyundai Ioniq 6 right now. All right, we are going to jump in with a quick exterior walk around of the Ioniq 6. And I do want to start by saying this is the top tier trim with the extended range battery with all-wheel drive. And so you're looking at a vehicle that delivers 320 horsepower and 446 pound-feet of torque. But if you went for the single motor vehicle with the rear-wheel drive powertrain, you're looking at 146 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Maybe it's 149 horsepower, but you're looking at a lot less horsepower and a lot less torque if you opt for that. And as you will see in my driving impressions, I thought that this vehicle did really well. Okay, so on to the exterior tour. So what I find really interesting about the Ioniq 6 is the fact that it doesn't look anything like the Ioniq 5. And Hyundai did that on purpose. The idea here is that this vehicle is kind of like a chess piece with its own unique style, its own unique character, and its own unique design. But the one thing that they've done that kind of carries through the theme with the Ioniq brand is this pixelation. So you're going to see the pixelation here on the daytime running lights. You're going to see it as a design theme pretty much everywhere you look. And that is one of the things that kind of connects these vehicles. But otherwise, the styling and the overall look and feel of this vehicle is very, very different. And this right here is a brake light, and it lights up when you hit the brakes. It looks really cool. Standard wheels on this vehicle are going to be 18 inches. These are going to be your up-level wheels at 20 inches, and I think they look really good. Now, the interesting thing that Hyundai has done is they've given this a very modest color palette. And so when you look at the color choices, you have a lot of blacks and grays, and then you have a muted red, kind of like a burgundy, but pretty simple color palette to introduce this vehicle. Nothing bright and flashy, but I think it works. When you move inside, again, you'll notice a little pixel here on the exterior, and then you've got a lot more pixelation theme going on the seats, and just really wherever you look. They said that they have more than 700 pixels, so little squares, on this vehicle throughout. And I would actually guess there's probably even more than 700. There are a lot of little pixels everywhere, from the 4 dots, which in Morse code are an H on the steering wheel, to, I mean, even the charging pad has little pixels on it and what's surrounding it, and then this shows green when your phone is charging. So yeah, they're kind of everywhere. I would guess there's probably more than 700. This is a pretty roomy interior, and you can see this seat here is in the far back position, and there's still really a lot of leg room going on, and they designed it that way on purpose. So while this has the footprint of a mid-size vehicle, the interior volume is probably more on par with a large sedan. We will do a quick look in the back seat of this vehicle, and then we'll get into the good things and bad things on the Ioniq 6. So first off, I will point out they do have air vents back here. You've got some USB-C charge ports. You have a flat load floor. And yeah, we were driving through a little sand, so sorry about that. And then you have these seats that are pretty well padded and cushy. You do have this drop down here if you have a beverage with some cup holders, but you don't have anything holding your cup holders in. And, oop, look, more pixels. And okay, so we'll scoot over here because this seat is further back. You have, this seat lifts up a little bit, so you've got some support for your thighs, and you can kind of stretch out a little bit. Even though this is in a further back position, I really have a lot of leg room here. I would say somebody who is taller than 6 feet would be able to fit back here just fine. But that is hard plastic, so hopefully you won't have your knees brushing up against that. You do not have a panoramic moonroof available on this vehicle. You just have this wide moonroof that only covers the front seats. And a panoramic moonroof is not available. So, all right, that is just the quick interior and exterior tour. Let's get into the good things and the bad things. Starting with the good things, I am just really going to play up the exterior design of this vehicle. I at first was a little bit skeptical about the lack of family resemblance, but during the press presentation, the lead designer essentially said that, you know, you can create a family continuity without making every vehicle look the same, and to not do that, to kind of like, you know, do cookie cutter vehicles is lazy. And I hadn't ever thought about it that way, but it made a lot of sense to me. So through the use of these pixels, they've connected this to the Ioniq 5, yet they've given it a really unique design language so it stands alone. And yeah, as the designer points out, they were not lazy. This is a really good looking vehicle, and I'm very impressed with that. I really like the design elements, and that has to be the first thing on my like list. Moving inside, I really like this large screen. I think they've done a really great job with pulling it together, and you'll notice this is another element that unites the Ioniq 6 and the Ioniq 5, because the Ioniq 5 has this same screen. I also really like this under console storage area. This wide open space is large enough for a purse, a briefcase, groceries, takeaway, diaper bag. I think you can fit a diaper bag under here, and that means you don't take up the space of the passenger seat or put it in the back seat where you might not be able to reach it. You have it easily accessible in a location right close to your hands, and I like this storage area here. I also really like the graphics that they've imposed with the drive modes, and I guess I should say not even necessarily the graphics, but the visual feedback you get with the drive modes. So if you hit this button, you can see I am in normal mode, and you've got a graphic change here. This flashed white, and then when you go into sport mode, again, this flashed red. Your gauges have changed. You've got a graphic element over there that's changed, and then for your eco mode, again, you have another change. It's just a very quick, nice representation, so you always have a really good idea of where you are at and what mode you are in. And it's a stupid, silly thing, but I like it. Now this is really cool, and I'm gonna look at the back seat from this direction to show you this. But in the top tier trims, you actually have a plug, an actual plug right here, and it makes me think of like an airplane seat in a way, where you can plug in your device. But 110 volts, so if you have your computer, your tablet, phone, whatever, and you don't want to use a USB-C port, you can actually use your regular jack right here, and it is always on as long as the vehicle is on, or if you have it in accessory mode, it would be on then too. And finally, the biggest thing that I like on the Ioniq 6 is going to be route planning. And this is going to be new on Hyundai electric vehicles, starting with the Ioniq 6. They're going to do an over-the-air update, and you're going to see it roll out onto other EVs. We'll probably see it on Genesis and Kia vehicles as well. But essentially what that means is if you plan a destination, if you put a destination into your navigation, you have to use the native navigation, and it is further away than you have charge. So we have 105 miles of range right now. So if we plugged in something that was more than 100 miles away, it would tell you need to charge. Do you want to plan for that? Let's see. Oh, it looks like somebody was playing around with it already. They put in the Detroit Metropolitan Airport. So let's just click that and see what happens. So it's requesting connection and it's routing. And what it should do is it should pop up the charging stations within the distance. So yep, here you go. It says the battery capacity may be insufficient to reach your destination. Would you like to stop at an EV charging station? And so we'll say yes. And so what it does then is it calculates the fastest route and the most cost-effective route. So it gives you some options in terms of how you want to go. And, it may not be the way you would normally go, but it will get you from here to here, and it will tell you what your charging is along the way. So I will point out, it did only give you the first 4 charging stations. And it shows you the locations of where they are, how much, the distance and the time that you will get there. But, I imagine once you charge up, then it will, plot your next route points after that. So, I don't know. I find it very interesting that they have finally included this into the system. It's smart. And here's the other thing that it does. When you route plan and it knows you are going to a charger at a specific location, as you approach the charger, it will precondition the battery so that the battery is an optimal temperature to reach to be charged, so that it will then charge your vehicle as quickly as the charging station will allow it to be charged. And this has 800 volt charging capacity, so if you go to fast charge, you should be able to get the fastest charging that is currently available. It is now time for me to get into what I don't like about this vehicle, and I am going to start right here with this little guy. This is your gear shift knob, and so you can see where it is positioned right here. And I don't have the seat set up for me, so excuse me as I do a little bit of a reach here. But you have to have your foot on the brake to shift, and you turn this knob, and then you turn this knob to get the drive or reverse, and then you press this on the back to put it in park. And so what I don't like about it is, first off, you can't really see it while you're doing it. So it's one of those muscle memory things. An owner would get the hang of it. But I also I don't know, I don't like wands on the steering wheel. It's just me. I don't like the dials either. I'm a manual shift driver. What can I say? So I don't know. So I don't really like that operation, and I don't like the fact that it's kind of like when you're actually sitting here, you can't see it. You just have to operate it by muscle memory. All right. So the next thing that I don't like is going to be the fact that you have this beautiful screenage going on, but you do not have wireless Apple CarPlay. You have wired in CarPlay, and this is the part that I don't like. You have wireless charging. It always irks me in a vehicle when they have wireless charging but no wireless Apple CarPlay, because why am I going to use the wireless charger when I'm probably wiring in to use Apple CarPlay in the first place? So that's just one of those things. It bothers me, and I will call it out every time. However, I will say I did hear a little birdie say that there might be news on this coming soon. So fingers crossed I won't have to complain about this in Hyundai vehicles for much longer. But in addition to the wireless charger, which by the way does not overheat your phone, so that can go on the like list, you do have a USB port here that wires you in to use the Apple CarPlay. Since we are in this area, I'll just stick here and say the next thing that I don't like is where your heated seats are located. So there is not a physical button here. There's physical buttons for your map and your camera, and not even physical buttons, but there's like a way to get your climate changed here. But to get your heated seats on, you have to hit this button right here. It's not even a button. You have to tap that area on the screen, and then this pops up. And then you can turn on your heated seats or your cooled seats through this. So the passenger has to hit this as well in order to operate their seat function. And then to turn on the heated steering wheel, you hit that right there. I just really want a button on the steering wheel for my heated steering wheel, and I really want physical controls for this, because this just seems like a lot of work to turn on my heated seat, and I don't like that. Speaking of heated seats, we have to come into the back seat to tell you another thing that I don't like, and that is going to be the fact that you don't have any heated seats in the back seat. It's not available, it's not an option. This is the top tier trim with everything you can get on it, and they are not here. So I don't like that. I really believe that in an electric vehicle, especially where somebody's probably going to make it cold in here to save the battery range, I want heated seats. All right, now it is time for the final thing that I don't like on the Hyundai Ioniq 6. And I have to be honest, I'm really picking nits here because they've done a great job with the design. They've done a great job with how it drives. They've done a great job with the handling. But yeah, if I had to pick one final thing, it's going to be the fact that you do not have a frunk. You just have this little space to maybe put a charging cord. And my running shoes. I think my running shoes would fit in here. Wait, we'll see. Like, I'm going to take off my running shoe and I will show you. These are size 5 running shoes. That is how much space you have in here. So I could fit both of my running shoes back here. I'm not going to take them both off. Just trust me, they'll both fit. And then maybe a charge cord. So that's it. That's what I don't like about the Hyundai Ioniq 6. That's the sum of it. Now, before I get into my driving impressions, I do want to say one more thing that I really like about the Hyundai Ioniq 6, and that is the fact that this has an estimated range of max range, I guess I should say, of 320 miles, and that is with the rear-wheel drive and dual motor, and I think that is excellent. All right, it is time for me to do some quick driving impressions on the Hyundai Ioniq 6, and I feel like I've been saying this about pretty much every vehicle that I've been driving lately, but first impressions are really favorable. I've driven a lot of great cars lately, and this is another one of those great cars. This is the sedan version of the Ioniq vehicles that are coming out. So we have the Ioniq 5, which was an SUV or a wagon. I don't know, whichever you want to call it. But I probably would call it a wagon. Some people are calling it an SUV, but I digress. So this is a sedan, and it has a similar footprint to the Hyundai Sonata. And so it drives like a car. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit heavier because it is a electric vehicle, and so you can feel the battery. But we've been driving on some, I won't say really twisty roads, but some good roads, and this handles really well. And it's very controllable and kind of fun to drive. And I've been playing around with the one pedal driving. So right now I have it in the level 3 mode, but when I click into harder regeneration, it puts it into the iPedal mode, which takes it into one pedal driving. So, you know, this is just me lifting off the accelerator and I've come all the way to a stop. So you have to plan ahead. This is not a super aggressive one pedal drive system. So you have to plan ahead when you're coming to a stop to get it to go to a complete stop, but I feel like it works pretty well. Overall, I think the steering is nice. It is pretty maneuverable when you're in aggressive situations on the highway, and I've been having a lot of fun just kind of putting it into sport mode. So I've been toggling through some of the modes too. So you put it into sport mode, you can feel the response change immediately. iPedal goes off, and then whee! You get a nice little boost without actually having to hit a button. So, the acceleration is good, and overall, I don't know, I really like it. I think it's a comfortable car. As a petite driver, I like the seat. The seat bottom is comfortable, it's not too long, and the bolstering itself is also really good, again, for somebody who's on the petite side of things. Now, the one thing that I would like as somebody who is 5 feet tall is I'd like the seat to go up a little bit higher. I'd like to be able to see a little bit more over the hood, but I will say that after I've been driving this for a little bit, I'm getting more used to this driving position, and the more I drive it, maybe the less important that becomes. Visibility out of all the windows is really good. I like the fact that they've mounted the side mirror really far forward, so it doesn't create this big vortex of a blind spot when you're stopped in a four-way stop. So you've got good visibility out the side. And you even have really good visibility out the rear. You can kind of see the rear window out behind me a little bit. And I feel like you've got good visibility. For the aerodynamics on this car, the windows are not squinty small. So if I had to summarize this quickly, which obviously I'm not doing a very good job of, but if I were trying to summarize this in one sentence, I would say the Hyundai Ioniq 6 is a really good electric car. It's comfortable, it's smooth, it's fast, it's fun, and you can get some good range. All right, of course I had to close it out in the not frunk, but that is all I have for you this week on the Hyundai Ioniq 6. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time with a new Car du Jour.